so quiet out here. It's crazy. Uh-oh, lens is dirty. This sound is just... Can you guys hear? I'm gonna turn up the sensitivity on this microphone. Now, can you guys hear? Mother Nature, beauty, all that stuff happening. Can you hear it? It's beautiful. The title of this video is YouTubers versus professional filmmakers. But technically speaking, YouTubers are professional filmmakers, right? Because they're making it as their job, they're making money off it, and that kind of qualifies them as professional filmmakers. But what I really want to talk about is solo filmmaking, and then independent filmmaking, and then like big productions. Everybody pretty much starts off as a solo filmmaker, right? The very first time I picked up a camera, I was like, how do I turn it on? Let me call some friends and see if they're down to be my actors. Maybe they'll let me light them on fire. And really, that's when I fell in love with filmmaking. I mean, it was early high school days, and I was like, I want to do this the rest of my life. My mom definitely had her fingers crossed to at least have one child go to law school or become a doctor. But by now, I'm pretty sure you guys are very thankful I did not decide to become a doctor. Could you imagine? Oh, my feet are turning purple and I'm coughing up blood every day, and I'll be like, you should probably put some ice on it or something. First few years of working professionally, I would still consider myself to have been like a solo filmmaker. I mean, I was doing everything myself, the lights, the cameras, the sound, everything. As I started progressing in my career, I started partnering up with very creative people, and then it started to become more like independent filmmaking, and I would consider that to be about like 5 to 15 people on your team. So you have your producer, director, cinematographer, your audio, your lighting, and I remember just like constantly pushing for bigger and bigger projects, and now I am right back here, solo filmmaking. I had to stop one last time. I mean, just like, look at this. I'm using the FreeFly Movi Cinema Robot, and this thing is awesome. Full video on this guy coming soon, but real quick, let me just get the shot. You guys see that car? It literally went auga. Phew. Back in Los Angeles, I got a bunch of stuff in my shoes. Notice the change of scenery. Not all of LA is a beautiful beach, okay? So when people ask me what I do, I usually just say a filmmaker. I mean, that's kind of the blanket term I use to cover most of what I do. Filmmaker is a pretty good description of what I'm doing right now with these YouTube videos. I'm creating content. But once you get to a bigger size production, there is no real like filmmaker role. The two roles I usually play in bigger productions are either a director or director of photography. Usually it's recommended to do just one or the other. That way you could focus on just getting really good at one, but I just generally get called for both pretty evenly, so I just kind of say, okay, I'll do it. So let's start with a film director. It's ultimately the director's job to tell the story or convey a message or make it entertaining. Whatever the film is about, it's the director's job to make sure it's good.
Fast, fast, and fast.
The specific tasks of the director can vary depending on the director or what they're working on. Some like to be very hands-on with the camera and sometimes operate. Some don't even know what camera they're shooting on. But the main objective for the director is to make sure that the film is good. If the film flops, the first person the studio comes after is that director. Me personally, whenever I direct a project, I usually work with the actors mostly to make sure they know what they're doing, what their character is doing and feeling at that point in time. And also working with the director of photography to go over how the film should look. But usually once they understand the feel and look I'm going for, I try to leave it up to them to kind of take it away. And of course, I also work pretty closely with the producer. In my case, that's usually Steve. Steve's the guy that brings it all together. He finds everyone that needs to be involved, brings them all together. He's usually looking ahead to see any potential issues that might come up. And of course, he makes sure the total project is on time and on budget. That's usually how our conversations go. Hey, Steve, I think we should shoot this next project on Cook lenses. No, it's not in the budget. Oh! And then you have to have an Eric Fickenworth. I actually have no idea what he does, but he's always around, and I think he's doing something, but I couldn't tell you what. And when I'm not being hired as a director, I'm usually getting hired as a director of photography, or DP for short, or cinematographer, any of those work. So the DP is in charge of how the film and video look. Not necessarily to make beautiful images unless the scene itself is beautiful. Then yeah, do it. Get some golden hour backlighting going, get some bubbles flying around in the air. You can't go wrong sunset golden hour backlight. But let's say it's a scary film, then it's my job to say, oh, let's shoot this on red just to get that kind of gritty, darker look at out of it. Let's make the room look dark and shadowy. Let's give him an incandescent flashlight to give that orange glow. If it's supposed to be really happy or funny, then I usually make it really vibrant. Usually it starts off with a location scout. Really helps to have a pretty good idea of what angles you're gonna shoot and what lighting you're gonna use. Remember that when you have a full crew, every minute is expensive, and Steve's always standing by just staring you down. Better not go into overtime. So, you know, in those cases, you don't really have the luxury to say, oh, let's try this shot. Oh, you know what? Never mind, it doesn't look good. Let's try this shot instead, and let's try this light instead. Once you get your frame, lighting works around that, set dressing works around that, and after all that's said and done, you can't just go, oh, you know what? Let me actually just try this angle instead. You know, the director's involvement could either be really heavy or none. Some directors are like, I want this kind of look, I want these lights, I want these angles, I want it on the dolly, I want it on a Steadicam here. And some directors are just like, I don't know, just do your thing. So as a DP, I'll go to a director, find out exactly what he wants, and then I'll first work with camera department. Once I have that figured out, then I'll work with G&E, also known as grip and electric. First, we have to figure out what kind of lighting are we gonna do. If we're gonna do a direct sunlight shot, then let's get a 4x silk over there. Are we gonna do it in a wide shot? Then let's get a 12x. We have direct light coming in through the window, let's counter it with an M18 HMI. Shooting around a fire, let's swap out the Kino bulbs with tungsten lights and soften it out. And having a great crew makes a world of a difference. You can achieve so much when you have the right team. Sometimes you'll see sets with tons of people and you might be like, what could all these people possibly be doing? They're all doing something and they all have specific tasks. Being part of a big production is an amazing experience. You almost become like a family. You spend all these long 12-hour days every day with them, and then the last day of shooting is usually a very bittersweet day. But anyways, let's talk about YouTubing a little bit. Let's go. You gotta clear out the background. The space also doubles as my living space and also my gear space too. So for me, I always feel like I'm fighting a lot with space. All my gear is like stacked on top of each other. I'm not cool enough to have my own studio space yet, but maybe one day that would be awesome. I've looked at studio spaces before here in Los Angeles and they're so crazy expensive. I literally have no idea how people can afford to rent studio spaces in Los Angeles. It's crazy. I feel like I need at least 1 million subscribers before I can afford one, so please subscribe if you haven't. Oh yeah, and also buy all my products. I have LUTs and courses, and soon I'll probably be selling bracelets. We're back. Now, there are obviously major pros and cons to small, medium, and large size productions. Me personally, the biggest draw I had to starting a YouTube channel is the fact that you can be very spontaneous and creative, just like that. You come up with an idea, you gather your friends, you shoot it, you make it, you edit it, and upload it that same day. I love how fast-paced and just in the moment it is. On bigger productions, you know, you have an idea, and then you have to run it through a chain of command to get it approved, and then you go shoot it a couple weeks or months after you got your budget together. You know, a lot of big projects takes like 6 months, a year, 2 years. So the fact that with YouTube videos, you have an idea, you pick up your camera, you record, you do it, and just that's awesome to me. For example, that shot I got with the rental car, I just pulled up to a spot and I was like, you know what would be kind of funny is if I just do a J-turn and land right in front of the camera. Should I just try it? I'm just gonna try it. And it landed so perfectly. I gotta admit, I'm really proud of that J-turn. To do that shot professionally, you would have had to do a ton more work. You would have had to location scout it, hire police officers to close off that block of the street. You have to get insurance, you have to get permits, a stunt car, stunt double, all this stuff just to get this one shot. Here's another example. If you're a solo filmmaker and you want a shot of someone checking out at a store register, sneak the camera in, try to get that shot real quick. If they kick you out, go next door to the next grocery store and try again there until you get the shot. 5 years ago, I directed a commercial for Secret deodorant. I'm not saying it's a secret type of deodorant, the brand is secret. But the scene was somebody checking out at the cash register with a line of people behind them in a grocery store. What made that so complicated is that you have to completely close down the grocery store. We have to fill the store with extras. We have to go through and hide all the logos on products, you know, chip bags like Doritos and all this stuff. You have to cover all those up. We actually had an art designer that took a Snickers chocolate bar and then she redesigned it so it said like Smudgers or something like that. And then everybody in the line behind her, all paid actors. With bigger productions like that, there's a lot of pre-production work that goes into it. But once you have all the pre-production complete, everybody's there, you spent all this money, it's awesome because everybody there is there for the same purpose, which is to get the shot. So you have complete control over who stands where and what they're doing, and then you get to have the actors perform it the way you want them to, and if they don't get it right on the first time, go for take 2, go for take 3. So here are the 3 main reasons why I decided to start this YouTube channel and step a little bit further back from doing commercial work. Number 1 is scheduling. When you're freelance, you're kind of depending on other people to give you work, and you kind of have to live on their schedule. It's hard to plan ahead because a lot of people call you last minute. Number 2 is stress and pressure. Yeah, there's some pressure making YouTube videos. You know, you're not sure if it's gonna be good or if people are gonna like it or whatever. You're very vulnerable, but it's nothing compared to the stress I felt making commercials. Every commercial, every minute of shooting was expensive, and you're burning through money. Every mistake can become very expensive. Every time you present your video to the client, it felt like this life or death situation, because you essentially just spent like tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars of their money to create this video, and if they don't like it, then you could expect not to get work from them anymore. And finally, and most importantly to me, it's who you're making the content for. In bigger productions, you're always making work for somebody else. You're trying to please a client, or you're trying to make the studios like you, or you're trying to make the ad agency call you back. There's a ton of politics involved and people to make sure you don't piss off. And ultimately, a lot of times it doesn't come down to making good content. It came down to making sure 1 or 2 people like the video. And sometimes those people that judge your video, they know nothing about making videos. So that was always very frustrating. I've been lucky with having some really, really great clients, but I've dealt with some terrible ones as well. But on YouTube, I'm making it basically for myself, and I put it out there and hope you guys like it, but I don't have anyone I have to please. And if I make content that I know is good, then I know you guys would like it. So really, for the first time ever, I'm making videos professionally for myself, really. So that is such a good feeling. So yeah.
What'd you think of that? Was that good?